So when everything online is controlled and you can't really access anything, it starts to become a pain in the ass. Now, it's no surprise that countries want to sort of stop children and stop, them accessing things. Now, a lot of parents these days, either they just don't really know technology all that well, or they're just too busy to actually do anything to help their children online, which is all fair enough. Now, of course, there has been a talk for a very long time now about ID verifying a lot of things, mainly adult websites, and it's been a talk for a very long time. It's been in the talks for, and it's finally actually happened, which is kind of crazy. So I can't remember when they did it, but it was sometime last week. They decided to pretty much add this law in. Now, this law was, again, like I said, I think it was done by the Conservatives years ago. I think it was properly nailed in by the Conservatives in England. And now, of course, Labour looks like they've enforced the final piece, and it's actually happened. Now, of course, it's no surprise this sort of stuff was going to happen one time or another. ID verification, again, like I said, it's taken its while. I'm surprised it took this long. Now, of course, websites like Pornhub and stuff like that, you cannot access at all unless you've got an account. So if you want to access them websites, you have to create an account and then verify your ID through that account to actually access the stuff. If you want to go on places like Reddit, now the subreddit r/beer is a good example of how crazy this is. I don't think that's one of the worst subreddits in there. There's no way you're going to look at that and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be an alcoholic or something. I don't know. Either way, but you cannot access that because it's classed as a not safe for work community or a subreddit, which in other words, you can't access at all. However, it used to be it would blur out everything, so you couldn't actually access it. Reddit has always had not safe for work content, porn and other stuff on it, but I think they've finalised it by just doing the ID thing. So if you want to access them now, it'll tell you to put in your birthday and stuff like that, and then you will have to submit a ID, so you'd have to take a picture of your face, and then this AI thing. It's been a thing for a while. If you sign up to some banking apps, you need this sort of identification thing, because a lot of course, banking apps require you to be a certain age to sign up. So, of course, this isn't newer technology. It's been a thing used for quite some time, but it's now just being used for verifying ID. Now, I don't know whether these companies want to comply or not, but they have no real choice. I don't know. I don't know what would happen if a company didn't abide by these laws. I'm presuming their site would not be accessible in this country. It would just be completely banned from this country, my guess, or they could receive fines of different amounts that I don't think they're willing to pay, so they just comply with it. This is what will show up on the app Discord, the sort of Skype style app Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, it will say age restricted channel. This channel is marked as age restricted because it contains adult content. Do you want to verify your age? Now, I don't think this is exactly the worst thing, because a lot of children do use Discord. It's a pretty popular app for children and younger people, and I'm very positive paedophilia goes on there quite a fucking lot, and I'm sure a lot of paedophiles do hang out there as well, and a lot of inappropriate shit that with children. I'm very positive that ends up going on there, which is no surprise at all. I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but I think you need to understand these sort of things to actually realise, is your child being endangered, and not relying on just an identification or a verified thing. Now, of course, this has caused a big ass ruckus on Twitter, specifically, or X. A lot of people are just not happy at all, which is crazy in all that fairness. Now, this all comes as well, the controversy, after we've talked about it before, the T app, which was a app well, I think it's still actually up, I'm not too sure. But they required users to verify their ID, meaning they took a picture of their driving license, or their. I think even some people use their government IDs, like the work IDs and stuff like that. I think some at defence, someone signed up with, and then a picture of themselves, and of course, all of that got leaked, like up to 50 or 70,000, somewhere around there, was leaked. A shit ton of stuff was leaked. And of course, this has caused a controversy even. Now, I don't know if they used a more secure thing as what's used. I think if there is an ID thing that needs to be done, it can't save anything, because again, you're trying to you most more than likely you'll be taking pictures of children, because children are still going to try and verify their age whether or not, so you're taking a picture of a child to try and verify their age, because they might be like, oh, I might get past this, and if that shit gets leaked out there, that's going to be some really bad stuff. I'm presuming they are using a lot secure than what the T-App was using. I don't know, but I know a few people have commented saying that it could cause some pretty serious problems if more stuff. But I don't know how secure the T-App ID verify system was. Some people state that it wasn't very, very secure. So that's kind of annoying. But there are some weird talks as well with VPN usage. Now, I don't know if it's 100%. There are a few people saying that it could end up happening. And there's been a few accounts that have said the government in the UK could end up disabling VPNs and making them completely illegal. Now, that would be a crazy thing to do, because VPNs aren't just used for bypassing this or that. They used to use it watching content. If you want to watch something on Netflix that's in another country, you have to kind of use that. Unfortunately, there's all different countries that have different laws and stuff and different copyright. So, of course, you can't watch everything. The US version of Netflix will have something different to the British version of Netflix and so on. So that's what people use VPNs for as well, and of course they keep you a little bit more anonymous while browsing, although let's be honest, I don't think they're 100% anonymous, but they make websites think that you're not that person. They supposedly as well hide traffic to your ISP or internet service providers, but I don't know how true that actually is. But banning that to try and overcome this is quite stupid in my opinion, and it just doesn't really make all that much sense. I get it. I 100% get it. You've got to try and do anything in your power to get around these things, but I just don't think this is the outcome you are wanting to do. Banning VPN. And again, this is more of a rumour than anything. I highly doubt it will happen before anyone says anything. I'd be very shocked if it did actually happen. But I highly doubt it will actually happen from all that. A few people have brought it up and said. Now, when you go on X or Twitter, it will show up. Now, because Twitter, I don't know what is going on with X at the moment. You cannot verify your ID whatsoever. You can if you sign up. Basically, the only way to verify your ID, I think, bypass this thing at the moment, is by paying for the blue check mark, which is the only way. And I think I verified my ID once on X for something to get into that account, and that I tried to use that account the other day to see something that would, and it still asked me to verify my ID, which is quite ironic. But this is what shows up. Due to local laws, we are temporarily restricting access to this content until X estimates your age, which doesn't make any sense to me, because I don't know how on earth they're going to estimate your age by your name and what you post. It's a pretty hard thing to do. But all content, or a lot of content that you can see is just blocked, and it just says, due to local laws. And of course, you click on learn more. It doesn't really give you much information about the UK's laws and stuff like this. But I don't know why on earth they're thinking about it. I don't know. We are required by regulations, including the UK's Online Safety Act, the Irish Online Safety Code, and the European Union Digital Services Act, to verify our age for access to certain types of content. Below, we outline our age verification and estimate method, which are designed to be privacy-focused and user-friendly. And of course, it tells you self-assessed it if your users indicate they are under 18. Again, I don't know how on earth people are going to get past this. I'm guessing X is going to have to somehow verify people's ID. But even if it's content that is not really porn, but it's just maybe a video game that was 18, I think there's some profiles you can't access on X as well because they are sort of age-restricted profiles. I know on X there are some profiles you can access as well on Instagram. I don't know if this has hit Instagram yet, although in all fairness, that isn't really an app that adult content is posted on. Although there is sort of borderline porn. It's on the border of, basically classed as porn at that point. Yeah. I don't think people are going to ever verify their ID at this point. It's just going to come to a point where people are not able to verify anything, and it's annoying because you don't know what the fucking post is even about, and you can't even verify your ID in the first place to try and get around it. Now, someone actually made a Parliament petition on the UK Parliament petition thing. Repeal the Online Safety Act. We want the government to repeal the Online Safety Act. We believe that the scope of the Online Safety Act is far broader and restrictive than necessary in a free society. For instance, the definitions in Part 2 cover online hobby forums, which we think do not have the resources to comply with the Act and are so shutting down instead. We think Parliament should repeal the Act and work towards producing appropriate legalization rather than risking clamping down on civil society talking about trains, football, video games, or even hamsters because it can't deal with individual bad faith actors. That is true. Now this petition has 376,000 signatures. It's actually going up, as I say. It's gone up like 3 or 4 signatures as I spoke there. So it's going up quite a lot. Now, the Parliament considered all petitions to get more than 100,000 signatures for a debate, and apparently a debate will be happening in 4 days. Now, the government has actually responded to this, and they responded on the 28th of July, which is today. The government is working with the Ofcom to ensure that online in-scope services are subject to robust but proportionate regulation through the effective implementation of the Online Safety Act 2023. I would like to thank all those who signed the petition. It is right that the regulatory regime for in-scope online services takes a proportionate approach, balancing the protection of users from online harm with the ability to low-risk services to operate effectively and provide benefits to users. The government has no plans to repeal the Online Safety Act. I don't know why on earth people were surprised there. They were going to have a little bit of a change of heart and be like, you know what? I do think we should probably repeal it. But I guess people thought by signing this signature that there was some hope in that as well, which, again, the government has no plan. Online Safety Act and is working closely with Ofcom to implement an act as quickly and effective as possible to enable the UK users to benefit from its protections. I mean, let's be honest, the only actual reason this isn't implemented is to protect children in this country. It's not to protect any fucking adult. But it must get annoying having to pull out your phone and let me take your picture. You've got to turn your head and fucking stuff like that. And it's a bit stupid for some things. It's and it's every single account you've got online. It's going to get fucking repetitive for certain things as well. Proportionate is a core and principle of the Act and is built into its duties. As regulatory for the online safety regime, Ofcom must consider the size and risk level of different types and kinds of services when recommending steps providers can take to comply with requirements. Duties in the Communication Act 2003 require Ofcom to act with proportionate and target action only where it is needed. Some duties apply to all user-to-user search service in scope of the Act. This includes risk assessment, including determining if children are likely to access the service, and if so, assessing the risk of harm to children. While many services carry low risks of harm, the risk assessment duties are key to ensure that risk services of all sizes do not slip through the net of regulation. So, of course, they pretty much just gave a bullshit explanation saying, no, we're not going to do it. Fuck you. You wasted your time signing this petition. Which, again, I don't really know why anyone thought that was going to get a change of heart with this government. And apparently people are actually using the guy from the video game, Death Stranding, Norman Reedus, from there, to actually, because I think you can move his face around, to actually bypass these ID verification, which is absolute crazy stuff. And that some people are actually, I think, getting past it quite successfully, which is actually crazy. And these ID things are going to get the same fucking face every single time, and they're going to be like, holy shit, we got a lot of the same people. They must be like identical fucking twins or something. Which is actually pretty wild as well. Now, to no surprise at all, apparently this could actually affect more than just social media sites. Xbox apparently is going to start ID verification next year for games. This is kind of where I didn't want it to see coming, which is gonna just turn it massively into shit. Now, bearing in mind, for instance, let's say Call of Duty. Call of Duty is majority still played by people, younger people, quite a considerable amount, most likely under 18. In fact, Call of Duty wouldn't be where it is without people under the age of 18. Because they're the motherfuckers who were playing that shit. They were the motherfuckers who were putting money into that shit as well. You know, they relied, in fact, most 18 plus games back then relied on fucking children, relied on teenagers to be playing that. You know, which kind of gets me a bit like, I don't know why they're going to ID verification anything. And Xbox and gaming and reality should be the last things that to verify. Oh no, someone shot someone. Why are we censoring shooting and stuff? It's like Call of Duty. I get it. It's an 18 plus game because it's murder and stuff like that. But I'm sure they'll be able to watch fucking TV shows and stuff like that with some worse shit. You know. I don't get verifying put an ID, but it says age verification. This is from the Xbox official thing, I think. Age verification in the UK and Xbox's ongoing commitment to players' safety. Yes, let me verify my account for safety. Unless there's a game that has porn in it, I don't think you really need an age verification. Is it going to be every time you purchase a game, or are you just not going to be able to view a game? Steam is most likely going to add this as well. I'm not surprised. I'd be surprised if they haven't added it already. Holy shit, this is going to fuck up a lot of things. You want to see a bit of content? Oh, verify your ID. Imagine if you've got to verify your fucking ID every time you want to purchase a game that is an 18 plus game. That must get repetitive as shit. I hope they don't. Your ID is going to be basically like your new bank card. Any new site you want to sign up to, oh, I might need my bank card for paying something, but I'm also going to need my ID because there's a very good chance I'm not going to be able to do fuck all on this website because I'm being blocked from it through this ID bullshit. Again, I understand it's there to protect children, and I'm for that. But there are some things that it's going to get really fucking repetitive on. Gaming shouldn't be affected by this. It doesn't make any sense to me why they allow this. Again, this will probably make physical copy games more bought. Again, parents will buy their kids physical copy games because it might be just easier and safer for them to do so. Maybe parents are like, well, I don't really want to put my ID on something that, I don't really know a lot about. So I don't know. It's one of them things. But again, yet, but I'm sure they will. I think companies and stuff have a certain amount of time to actually implement it as well, depending on the risk of how it is. I think Pornhub and many porn and adult content websites have to do it pretty quickly, whereas stuff like games and stuff like that, I think they can take their time a little bit because it's not as sort of crazy as something like, for instance, porn and various other things. But yeah, it's a crazy thing, and looks like that petition did absolutely well. I don't know why we're surprised. Of course, it was going to do absolutely nothing. Nearly 400,000 signatures and counting. Though again, in 4 days they will do a debate in the Houses of Parliament, a live debate about it, which won't do anything because they'll just say the exact same thing they've just said. No, we're not doing anything about it, and it's probably going to crack down even more. Again, I think it just puts partly the blame on parents for being shit with their children, and not actually knowing what their children, or giving their children phones. But there is that. But hey, I'm not really sure why I'm surprised. This thing has been taking, again, its sweet time to come in, and finally it's come in, and people aren't too happy.